Hello, Starfarers, and welcome back to the Tetra Galaxy Telecast. For today's transmission's topic, we'll be doing an analysis of the fourth major trailer for Metroid Prime 4 Beyond, also known by its name as the Survive trailer. If you saw my analysis of the first three trailers, you know the deal. If not, I'll be combing through each frame of this trailer, Spaceballs style, for anything of interest, and I mean literally anything. If I see a speck of dust on my computer screen that looks kind of Metroid-y, you better believe I'll be talking about it. This analysis is coming out after the release of the Prime 4 overview trailer, so any information from that trailer relevant to analyzing this one will be mentioned here, but otherwise, that trailer will be discussed at a later time. Conversely, I may refrain from touching on something in this trailer if I believe a better opportunity to do so is presented in other footage. Also, information from the first three trailers in the treehouse may be discussed if it's relevant to analyzing this trailer. Well, I imagine you guys are ready to pick through this trailer and see what lies within, because I know I sure am, so with no further delays, let's begin! So, like the previous trailer analyses, I'll be playing through the trailer and stopping it whenever I see something of interest to speak about. There are two things to note in this room. One is that we see another one of these orbs behind Samus, of which we've seen several over the course of the last few trailers. This furthers my suspicion that these are meant to teleport us from one place to another. Given that it's just behind Samus, I'm also assuming that wherever this is, she's either just arrived or is about to leave. The other detail is this shutter opening in the front layer of the screen. Given that Samus is looking on as it opens, and noting how the camera's view seems to be moving downwards and towards Samus, I think that rather than this being a new area opening up, with a shot revealing the new area following this shot, I think there's something on the other side that is either entering to prevent Samus from using the portal, or perhaps something that Samus is letting in to go through the portal with her. Perhaps she's opening the gate for the robot we saw in the overview trailer, for example. The structure we see in the desert is a bit hard to make out with Samus's hand somewhat obscuring it, but it looks to me like some kind of coliseum. Whatever it is, it's certainly a very large structure, and I would hardly be surprised to see a boss fight here. Some people were saying that this creature here might be Kandon. Later footage has shown that this is not the case. It's just some random bug. However, I think we'll probably be seeing a lot of bugs in this area. I don't think this area has been shown anywhere else before, and it looks uniquely damp, mushy, and tunnel-like. Some of the walls also look like they're made of this weird, sort of organic-looking structure. Because of this, I think this area is probably one infested with arthropods, and that will be the motif of the area. We see Samus using her psychic abilities to access these platforms here. What I'm wondering is whether Samus is using her powers to see the platforms and thus make them accessible, or if she's actually creating or otherwise manifesting the platforms. I'm also aware from later footage that scanning these platforms reveals that you need something called the psychic boots to stand on these platforms, so that's another upgrade to keep note of. Given how broadly platforms like this could end up being utilized, I'll guess that we get the psychic boots around halfway through the game. What was that? They really upped the ante on the noises Samus makes when she takes damage. Sheesh. We see a new type of attack from the Cybot, which is an electrical blast with a decent radius. Combining this attack with the beam they were shown to have in the previous trailer, I'm led further in my belief from my Trailer 3 analysis that these guys should be enemies on the level of something like the Chozo Ghost. Not too strong, but a decent fight, featuring a few different attacks, and usually attacking in small groups. We also get confirmation that these robots were built by Lemorn, though this was apparent before the scan confirmed it. Perhaps more intriguing is that the scan says that this is the basic model of the Cybot. This heavily suggests that we'll be facing off against stronger variants at some point later in the game. On the topic of variants, these guys appear to be a variant of the creatures we saw in the second trailer, as they are not quite identical, most notably differing in their color schemes. We also see one of them swat away a missile, suggesting that these variants are stronger than the previous ones, which from all footage released thus far, seem to have no answer for missiles. It's very reminiscent of the Golden Chorizo from Super Metroid. When we see the bike take off here, it looks like it's shot out of a cannon. Just before it shoots off, we see the pad beneath it glowing green, and we see it fade when the bike starts. This makes me think that the pad is a sort of launch pad that grants the bike a quick start. This appears to be where we first get the bike, so I'm wondering, if this is a launch pad like described, if we'll see more like this in other places, or if this is the only place where such a thing can be found and is just to get us started with the new machine. We see another new type of flying creature here, though there's not much of note to them, other than being new. More interesting is the tower in the back. Not only is the top part of the structure floating above the other segment, which would suggest that the building is imbued with some psychic energy, but we also see some kind of effect around the building. Perhaps this is a psychic barrier to prevent intrusion, or maybe it's only a visual to denote the presence of psychic energy in the infrastructure, but whatever the cause of this effect may be, it's worth noting. I wonder what this substance is that's in these tubes. This looks like the flare pool, an area named in the overview trailer, so I thought it might be lava at first, but on a second look, there's splotches of a turquoise-esque color in there, so probably not. I wonder if this is some kind of fuel that the Lemorne used to use, like fuel gel on Brio. Okay, there's the Akira slide. You knew it had to happen eventually. Man, I should really watch Akira. With that, the trailer has concluded, as well as my analysis. Now that the analysis is done, I'll end by leaving a few personal thoughts. For starters, the usual fare applies here. Graphically great, the music sounds amazing, the character designs and aesthetics are amazing, you know, the usual. One thing that stands out about this trailer compared to the last two is the way they sync up cutting from one shot to the next with the music. The technique mirrors the pause burst pause technique pioneered by King Hugh, only for pacing a trailer rather than action scenes. I think the employment of this technique was a great choice. The trailer, I think, is palpably more exciting and blood-pumping than the last few as a result. As far as elements first introduced in this trailer go, I think what we saw here looks really good. I'm excited to see what the psychic platforms can do for platforming and exploration. I like how the enemy swats away the missiles. Like I said, it gives off Golden Chorizo vibes, and pulling inspiration from Super Metroid is always a good idea. The fight with the wolves looks more interesting here than in the last trailer, given just how many of them we see. And, while not a new thing since we saw it in the treehouse footage, I probably won't be able to get around to analyzing that footage. So I'll say here that the opening cutscene's aerial combat looks incredible. The sheer depth and number of ships is engrossing and impressive. It reminds me of the Battle of Coruscant from Revenge of the Sith, and that's one of the parts of the prequels that's actually good, so, I mean, you just love to see it. Also from the treehouse footage is Abarax, the first boss fight of the game, and I think that this looks like a great tutorial boss. It forces you to use multiple mechanics so you'll learn how to use them, and perhaps more importantly, he seems to have a more substantial health bar, so he shouldn't be too easy to defeat, like the Parasite Queen. On the other hand, he's a giant Metroid-infused space pirate, so there's an element of spectacle to this fight that was missing in the first boss fight of Prime 2, being the Dark Alpha Splinter. I doubt this fight will be better than the first fight against Ridley from Prime 3, but it's shaping up to be one of the better first bosses the franchise has to offer. The trailer also just passes the vibe test with flying colors. Every second of this trailer just feels like Metroid, and captures so much of what makes it great, from the large-scale spectacle of the opening aerial battle, to unique and memorable abilities, enemies, and exploration, to the simultaneously grand, daunting, and isolated atmosphere. I know some people are worried about the atmosphere because of the Federation troopers that have been shown in later footage, but if most of the game is like what was shown in this trailer, then rest assured that we have nothing to worry about. Overall, this was an awesome trailer, and I'd say confidently that it's at least the best trailer for Metroid Prime 4 Beyond since the reveal trailer from 2024, if not the best trailer, period. This looks sick, and I can't wait to play every minute of it. And with that, I've said everything I'd like to about the trailer. How about you, though? Is there something you caught in this trailer that you think I missed? Did you disagree with my personal thoughts on the footage shown here? Or is there just something on your mind that you'd like to share? If you have anything, feel free to share your thoughts in the digital reply box down below. Station feedback is always appreciated, and helps the channel to grow and improve with time. That will be all for today's transmission. Thank you all for tuning in. I can't believe this telecast is under 20 minutes. Seriously, it's over already? And I'll see you next broadcast. What if you had never been delayed? Would you still have been just as good that way? Would I still think Prime is impossible to replicate? What if you never had to restart? Would you still have become a work of art? Would I still think Beyond is bound to win my heart?
よりも完成が遅れてしまいます。これがメトロイドプライム4の発売を待ち望んでいただいている数多くのファンの皆様を失望させてしまう決断であることはしっかりと認識しております。皆様には発売が遅れてしまいますことを 心よりお詫び申し上げます。私たちがこのゲームの進捗状況を次にご報告できるのはまだまだ先のこととなり、開発には長い時間が必要になってしまいますが、完成した暁にはこれまでのメトロイドプライムシリーズと肩を並べられるように開発してまいりますので、任天堂とレトロスタジオを代表して本件につきましてどうかご理解いただけますよう心からお願い申し上げます。ありがとうございました。